Greetings and salutations, loyal viewers of this channel. My name is Sean, and today we got to talk about the corrupt super mayor Tiffany Henyard and this latest update, which is the Dolton Board of Trustees, which acts as their city council, apparently moving to vote to assign a specific investigator to look into the finances of Dolton, investigate the super mayor, and that person being Lori Lightfoot. The former disgraced mayor of the city of Chicago is going to look into the current disgraced mayor of the village of Dolton. This is a thing that's happening. This is a twist that I did not expect, and we're going to get into this. But before we do, I want to thank everybody who signed up over on actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay?
And remind you that on Saturday, April 27th in Austin, Texas, I will be at Minds Fest. Link to tickets, top of the description, promo code AJW for 20% off. So the corrupt super mayor, Tiffany Henyard, has essentially achieved the status of mythical figure here on the Actual Justice Warrior channel. She has used her position of power to target private businesses that refuse to donate to her campaign. She fired her police chief, installed a puppet, and is essentially bribing the department with her security detail by paying them excessive hours of overtime, including in one instance 303 hours over a 2-week period. Reminder that there's only 336 hours total in a 2-week period, which means that this person wasn't working for just 33. And by the way, that resulted in a $13,000 paycheck.
The officers are paid every 2 weeks, which without overtime is 80 hours. But when they're put on Henyard's detail, that 80 hours balloons to well over 100 hours, sometimes 200 hours. And in the case of Officer Terry Young last May, 303 hours worked over a 2-week period. That resulted in a single paycheck of more than $13,000.
How? How does a person put in a 2-week pay period, 303 hours? That's impossible. That's impossible.
336
Does he never go to sleep?
In fact, there are 336 hours total in 2 weeks.
There's lavish vacations that she's expensing to the taxpayers, which include destinations like Portland, Atlanta, Georgia, New York City, Austin, Texas, and of course Las Vegas. And by the way, she's staying at top tier 5-star hotels during the course of those vacations.
The credit card records do shed some light on tax dollars spent at several restaurants near the Strip, including Cafe Hollywood and Hot and Juicy Crawfish. WGN Investigates obtained copies of that agency's credit card statements as well. They show township taxpayers also spent money on the Vegas Strip on everything from steak dinners to hotels, and $3,741 just on Henyard's round-trip flight.
Right? But I shouldn't have to sit up here and break all this down.
And of course, she has deflected all criticism away from her by declaring that the people who are attacking her, the all-black board of trustees in the village of Dolton, are somehow raised traitors because she's a black woman that's in power and thus should be immune from criticism.
Because y'all got false narratives out there and y'all should be ashamed of yourself. Y'all black. Y'all are black. And y'all sitting up here beating and attacking on a black woman that's in power. Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves. All the stuff that y'all did to get people to come to our community, to just diss and down our community. Shame on y'all.
Now, there's so much more. Again, I have a whole entire playlist about her that you can check out. These are just some of the highlights. But now the village of Dolton appears to be moving in the direction after the disaster that was the April 1st Village of Dolton regular board meeting. And they're going to try to investigate her and hire a law firm to investigate her. And that law firm includes former Mayor Lori Lightfoot of the city of Chicago, one of the worst mayors in the history of the country. I never in my life thought that I would have to choose between the super mayor Tiffany Henyard and Lori Lightfoot, and honestly, I'm gonna have to punt on this situation and hope that the feds or the state attorney general of the state of Illinois gets to her first, because there is no way I can root for Lori Lightfoot, and obviously I cannot have the back of Tiffany Henyard.
Back in February, village trustees in South Suburban Dolton called for an outside investigation into allegations Mayor Tiffany Henyard,
To the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
has been misusing public funds while the village is millions of dollars in debt. Trustees say they need to see proper documentation surrounding Henyard's spending, including lavish trips and extravagant dinners, taxpayer-funded billboards, and other advertisements.
Now, we talked about this a bunch of different times on this particular channel. The fact that Tiffany Henyard appears to have driven the village of Dolton into millions upon millions of dollars in outstanding debt. This is due in large part to the fact that she's spending money not just in the village of Dolton, but in her position as the head of the Thornton Township Board of Supervisors to promote herself, putting her billboards all over the place, issuing calendars that of course mark dates like her birthday, and all kinds of other crazy things that are all about self-promotion, because the number one person that the supermayor cares about is in fact the supermayor herself, Tiffany Henyard. So they've decided in that previous meeting that they were going to vote to investigate her. Obviously, Tiffany Henyard ended up vetoing that, although that's a completely stupid measure because the village of Dolton's government is set up in a totally asinine way, because in order to override a veto, you need a 2/3 majority, but because there's only 6 people on the Dolton Board of Trustees, everything that gets voted to pass automatically needs 4 people, aka that 2/3 majority. So there's no point in vetoing anything if you're the supermayor, except if you want to make a statement. But it turns out that they've decided that they want to contract out a specific law firm in order to do this investigation. And I have to say, I'm incredibly disappointed that it is in fact Lori Lightfoot's law firm, where she went after she was shamed and removed from office and replaced with the even worse mayor, Brandon Johnson. And the bill for this, to me, just totally absurd. Way too much money for the disgraced former mayor of the city of Chicago.
Sources here in Dolton tell us they've already been interviewed by the FBI and in contact with the Cook County State's Attorney's Office concerning Mayor Henyard's spending. Those trustees believe the best outside investigator for the job,
I feel very, very good about our record of accomplishment,
is former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot.
So I know we're going to get into how much Lori Lightfoot is being paid for this particular instance, but I just have to say, Megan Hickey right here, because you preverts will make comments about it if I don't. Very, very nice looking lady. I mean, like, we gotta be honest right here. I've covered a lot of Village of Dolton news. Normally it's that guy that's doing all the reporting, like in the previous video that I did on this channel. But, Megan Hickey, good person to cover your news broadcasts for you preverts out there who would just leave me comments and disgust me with your disgusting comments. How dare you? Honestly, how dare you?
Those trustees believe the best outside investigator for the job,
I feel very, very good about our record of accomplishment,
is former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, who left office in May. Lightfoot, also a former federal prosecutor, joined Charles River Associates as a senior consultant to the forensic services practice in March, according to the firm's website.
So look, I'm not going to pretend that on paper, Lori Lightfoot does not have any experience in this particular realm. As they just told you, she is a former federal prosecutor, so she has gone after cases. Federal prosecutors tend to cover corruption of local and statewide government officials. I'm not sure if she's ever prosecuted specifically a corruption case, but considering the state of Illinois is one of the most corrupt states in terms of their politicians in the entire country. In fact, they lead the nation in politicians prosecuted for corruption. I don't imagine that it's impossible that she has some experience in this particular realm. But the problem is, Lightfoot herself was incredibly corrupt, incredibly incompetent, also a horrible racist who said that she was going to refuse to do any interviews at all whatsoever with white people or non-black interviewers. I don't remember exactly which one, but I'm pretty sure it was with white interviewers because, you know, white people are evil, white, and racist, and she put identity politics above everything. I don't really want this woman who hid behind the fact that she was a black woman who happened to be a lesbian to be investigating the supermayor who hides behind the fact that she is a black woman that's in power.
The proposal from a group of Dolton trustees seeks to appoint Lori Lightfoot as an additional legislative counsel. Lori Lightfoot would also look into claims that Mayor Henyard tried to cover up allegations that a Dolton trustee sexually assaulted another Dolton employee during a village-sponsored trip to Las Vegas.
So they're actually going to be reviewing and voting on whether or not they're going to try to hire Lori Lightfoot for this particular job on April 8th, which happens to be the time that I'm shooting this video. Again, if the 4 trustees want her, then it's essentially a veto-proof majority, but I do want to take note of the fact that they can't have the meeting in the village hall.
Discussion and approval of the resolution is on a special board meeting agenda for Monday at 6:30 that will take place at the Dolton Park District Amber Room.
Because the supermayor has to lock down their village hall and she refused to come back and said she would refuse to come back last week when they ended the meeting because she was locking all these different various people out of the village hall who were entitled to be in the meeting, and it violated Illinois' public meetings law. So they're going to have what is called a secret squirrel meeting where they vote on this. But like I said, because the majority is automatically a supermajority, if they want this, it is going to go through. But of course, we will be updating if something changes. But apparently, Lori Lightfoot is going to be paid $400 an hour.
The board will vote on the resolution at a special village board meeting Monday night. If approved by the board, Lightfoot's law firm will charge $400 per hour.
Which again is not unusual for an attorney, especially a notable attorney at a notable law firm, to be paid. But to me, giving her more than, I don't know, a nickel an hour, Lori Lightfoot, sounds like a crazy overreach. Sounds like something that you should never do. And honestly, I'm incredibly disappointed with the fact that she is the person that they want to go with. Now, I understand Tiffany Henyard hiding behind the fact that she's a black woman. You want to get a black woman in order to do so. You get a mayor, somebody who has experience governing, even though it was badly. You get somebody who's a former federal prosecutor, and you get somebody who gets to add in the fact that she is a non-straight with the fact that she's a black woman. So hopefully you can trump the identity politics of this particular situation. But I don't want to have Lori Lightfoot's horrible record litigated in this case in the public opinion, because it distracts from the fact that Tiffany A. Henyard, the super mayor, is a cartoon villain-like character that speaks for herself, that shows her incompetence and her insanity every single day. But instead, people are going to be looking to attack Lori Lightfoot, deservedly so based on her record, and it's going to distract from the issue. I think you should contract out a different person. Lori Lightfoot should not receive an additional dime of taxpayer funds. She's actually the mayor that signed in the welcoming ordinance in the city of Chicago that has led to all these different migrants being entitled to all these additional benefits. And yeah, that led to Brandon Johnson becoming the mayor. She's one of the few people in this country that was a horrible woke progressive mayor that was ousted for somebody who is an even worse, more horrible, more woke progressive mayor in Brandon Johnson. So I don't want her anywhere near this case. It kind of ruins it a little bit, but thankfully the super mayor is crazy enough that we can still cover her actions. We could still talk about her. We could still assess what's going on, even if Lori Lightfoot is put on the case, even if technically in the most abstract sense, we are on the same side as Lori Lightfoot. Again, it just troubles my heart, and it should trouble the hearts of everybody out there in the audience. But honestly, I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Does it make sense to hire Lori Lightfoot because you end up being able to address the black woman that's in power allegations? You throw in the not straight thing on top of that, and she has federal prosecutorial experience, and she happens to also be a former mayor, a failed one in that. Or am I right and they should actually just get somebody who is competent that's not Lori Lightfoot, anybody but Lori Lightfoot, in order to investigate this particular case? All your thoughts down in the comments below. And as usual, if you like this video, then show them by leaving a like. Subscribe for more content. Follow me on my social media. Support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about Lori Lightfoot investigating Tiffany Henyard, because of course this story got even more crazy and even worse. Till next time.